Hi, I'm Clever Ghoul, but you can call me Nikki. Welcome back to the channel. I've been wanting to make a book nook forever. If you've never seen one, it's basically a little diorama that you make that goes inside your bookshelf next to all your books. You can find kits everywhere online, at the craft store, with all different types of themes. But I wanted to see if I could make one with things I already had on hand. The theme for my book nook is going to be witchy apothecary, witchy potion shelf. I'm not exactly sure what to label it. Anyway, this is more of a follow along the process than a straightforward step-by-step tutorial, but I do think you can learn from it too. So with that being said, let's get into it. First, I took this small box and cut off the flap so that it was just one piece. This will be our nook. To make the apothecary shelf, I pulled out some scrap foam core, cut it in half, and then lined it up against the box to measure where to cut. Then I put the pieces inside and did some more measuring and cutting until it was the size I wanted. Then I glued the side and bottom pieces together, and then pulled out some more foam core to make the inner shelves using the same measuring method. I hot glued the shelves in place and added the top of the bookshelf. To disguise the foam core and make it look more like a piece of real furniture, I took some thin popsicle sticks and cut them to the size of the bookshelf. I used larger popsicle sticks for the sides of the shelf. Then I put the shelf to the side, dug through my paper stash, and found some to use for the wallpaper. I cut it to size and hot glued it down. Next, I went back to the shelf and painted it teal. To make this color, I mixed a bright aqua and brown acrylic paint to tone it down. While that dried, I moved on to the potion bottles. These are so fun and easy. All you need is wire, beads, and hot glue. I would cut a piece of wire, add some hot glue to it, thread the bottle bead on, and then add a little hot glue and attach the cap bead at the top of that. Trim away any excess wire and you have a little potion bottle. I made a ton of these. It was so much fun. Then it was time to add everything to the shelves. I glued down a mini pumpkin and some miniature books that I had on hand before gluing down all of the potion bottles. The nook needed a floor, so I roughly measured the dimensions and cut it out on a piece of paper. Then I lined up some thin popsicle sticks to see where I would need to cut and began cutting a bunch of little pieces that would make up the floor. I taped the paper down and added some tape across it, so as I laid out the floor planks, I could figure out the layout. I watered down some acrylic paint to do a base level stain as I went. And I would glue down the planks in sections to make sure it all went in the order I'd laid out and that everything would fit. Once everything was glued down, I added another layer of watered down paint, and then decided to disguise the edges of the nook by gluing popsicle sticks to the top and bottom, and I painted them the same brown as I used for the floor. Lastly, I put down a thin layer of glossy Mod Podge to seal the floor and make it look more realistic. Next, I added black decorative paper around the outside of the nook. I should have saved this for last, but honestly I was just kind of flying by the seat of my pants here and did it here. You'll see why this was a problem in a minute. I decided to make a bubbling witch's cauldron, so I used a mini cauldron I already had, hot glued some foil in it to fill up the space, and then glued down various beads on top to mimic bubbles. I added 2 more skulls to the top of the bookcase, and then decided I want to put a plant up there too. So I cut handles off of another mini cauldron, added in foil, and then glued in some of this fabric moss. It's string that's made to look like moss and works perfectly for this plant. After that, I realized I didn't like the popsicle stick up top being brown, so I covered it in black paint, and then went around the edges of the nook and disguised any parts that were peeking through. I left the bottom popsicle brown as it works with the floor. I wanted the nook to light up, but I didn't have the proper battery pack for this dollhouse light, so I cut the wires off and glued it down. And then I took some mini string lights and taped them down onto the ceiling. I took the wire with the battery pack and wrapped it around the top. This is why I should have waited to do the black paper on the outside until last, but I patched that up with some extra paper. And that's it, which means it's time for the reveal. Here it is. I'm so happy with how it turned out. Considering that this was made of trash and little bits and bobs I had in my craft storage, I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I know a lot of book nooks are deeper or bigger or have way more details going on, and that's great, but that wasn't really my goal for this project. I just really wanted to play around and see what I could make with stuff I had, and I think I did a good job. I loved making the itty bitty potion bottles. I think they're so cute, and honestly now I kind of want to make little earrings that look like potion bottles using the same technique. I don't know if it'll be as successful, but I just think they're so adorable. Clearly I couldn't stop making them because there's tons of them all over these shelves, but I don't care, I love it. I'm still open to getting a kit in the future. Like I said, there's tons of different themes out there and all different skill levels ranging from beginner to more advanced, but I had so much fun playing around with what I had and think that any of y'all could do this at home too if you wanted to. Would you attempt to make your own book nook at home, or would you end up getting a kit? And what kind of theme would you go for? I would love to hear all about it, so let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!